February 8th. That was right when Bitcoin first topped 50,000. That was also the biggest reduction by that group since late last year, but it's been balanced by an uptick in new retail investor demand on exchanges. Guys, back to you.
Kate Rooney. Kate, thank you very much. Lindsay, how closely are you watching Bitcoin these days?
I mean, it's hard to avoid Bitcoin for sure. But, you know, I think it's a volatile asset class. All you have to do is look at the chart of it, right? So I think it's come a long way from being really a ways and means for illicit transactions to where we're at today, where it's being used much more as a form of payment and being accepted by several different retailers. And there's being infrastructure built in the financial system to accept that. But that doesn't mean that it's not being used for illicit transactions anymore. So I think what the action that you're seeing today that we're talking about is perhaps some of these big guys are simply taking profits after a very fast run, while the retail investors still remain very intrigued by it. So I think we're in very early innings of the Bitcoin story here and crypto in general, and it's something that we're going to definitely keep our eye on.
Mike, Bitcoin's been down about 6% for most of the session, steady-ish around that level. Tesla, on the other hand, which I guess we often link with Bitcoin, rightly or wrongly in terms of sort of behavior, has steadily sold off throughout the session.
Yeah, I see there's a couple people in here. We got about 3 more minutes, about 2.5 minutes, and the market's going to close. Basically, want to talk about some stocks are starting to correct. The NASDAQ is down 330 points. I did take a couple positions today. One I took in Tesla. I bought puts, made some money. I wish I would have held it longer because it's getting hit.
With dealers buying the stock, it actually kind of turned in reverse. There was just a big overhang of a lot of those options that are now out of the money. And so I think there's a bit of an unwind there. There's also a little bit less of a uniqueness factor in the investor's mind about playing EVs, because now it's happy to play these SPACs that might merge with another EV or even GM.
You got roku pulling back.
But it's also the same people that own Bitcoin.
You know, I covered it. I covered a large position about 9 days ago, and now it's down almost $31. I would have recouped $3,000.
Slightly more decliners than advancers, but that's been close to 50-50 all day. We talked about the kind of stay-at-home versus the going-out portfolio.
That's what happens. I've seen it happen so many times. You guys can give me a thumbs up, a comment below. I'd greatly appreciate it.
3.3%. The work-from-home ETF, a lot of those COVID winners down almost exactly the same. That's a massive spread on a one-day basis. And then the volatility index certainly has lifted a little bit here, as you might expect with the market down, but roughly staying in its range. It was already above 20, and so here it is still at 23, not really breaking higher in a dramatic way.
We got the end of the month. I don't.
It actually suppresses index-level volatility, Sarah.
Energy stocks are.
Let's take a look.
Well, the market is closing in a couple seconds here.
Today with the Dow higher by 31 points, certainly off the session highs. It's kind of.
Yeah, I think it was up 170. Just finished at 35.
Dow's only up 38
Oh my God! Look at Tesla. $67. I had 700 puts.
Seen a losing streak that long since last February.
I got in the option, got out too quick.
We were going into this pandemic,
course.
COVID-19. The NASDAQ is the story today. It is falling hard, down more than 2%. Worst daily performance for the NASDAQ since January, where it had another big down day, down 2.6%. Real valuation scare.
Yeah, I got in Tesla.
Like Apple, like Tesla, all falling hard today.
Sold a position at 7. They closed at 16. Hey, Susan, how are you? Thank you for stopping by.
Commodity prices are higher, and bond yields are higher. Potentially why you're seeing groups like energy and financials up. Wilfred.
Yeah, the Dow gave back a lot of its gain.
Along with Sarah Eisen and Mike Santoli, CBC senior markets commentator. As Sarah just said, we did slip into the close. The Dow.
If you guys watched my video the other day, I talk about getting into CBAT. That was the
as you can see from the intraday chart, but a soft
the battery maker from China. Got in at 880, got out at 950, and I just didn't feel secure about it, so I got out of it. I made 10% the next day, and again, I'm glad I did. The stock closed down at 7. It was down 14% today, 7 and 12. So instead of having a 10% gain when I cashed out, I would have had probably about a 22% loss. So I did okay.
$1 billion transaction. Starboard's Jeff Smith and Sixtera Executive Chairman Manny Medina will join us exclusively to discuss that deal coming out. Lindsay Bell from Ally Invest still with us, and Omar Aguilar from Charles Schwab.
All right, we're I'm gonna look at some charts here. I'm gonna mute this. Pull up the WEBULL chart, make that bigger. Yeah, as you can see here, ROKU. Even with today, it had a couple upgrades. It just couldn't even go up, and that's a sign. Now the moving average is around 437.60. So if it could bounce off of here, but if it doesn't, the next target is going to be in the 395 range. It just annoys me because I covered about 60% of this last week at 475, and we're down 40 points since then. That, like I said, I would have recouped $3,000 of my profit. One of the stocks I follow, and I mentioned it I did a video on it yesterday, was VIAC. VIAC today though was up 345. It had a high today of 67.20. Still held up pretty good with the market being down. They have earnings this week. Like I said, I got out of CBAT Energy, the battery company, at 9, and I'm glad I did. I mean, look at it; it's been just clearly down since then. It's breaking down. Tesla's finally pulling back. I mean, look at that. Tesla's, I mean, it was at 900 now. It was 900 back on January 25th. In basically 3 weeks, it's pulled back almost 200 points. It's been down the last 4 days in a row. Actually, it's been down 4, 5, 6 out of 10 days. 9 out of like 12 days. So it hasn't been good as far as Tesla. I did buy some puts on it and made a couple bucks on it today. I did take a couple positions, so I will be on this weekend updating. I skipped week 2, didn't do no option trading last week, but this week I did 10. I open up 10 positions. NVDA I got in. They have earnings, and I got into it only when it was down. I got into the options when it was down about $9, but it closed down almost 23. So I'm underwater right now on that position. Excuse me. But the options expire next week, and they have earnings this week. So that's one that I'm looking at. Texas Roadhouse is a stock that I recommended in the beginning of the year. I touch on, just make myself little notes here. NVIDIA I touched on. eBay's been, it was down 42 cents. Had a high today of 62.29, a low of 60.96. Is there any new earnings after the bell?
Investors are looking past the
I got into Toll, but I got out of that because I didn't really like the chart. Made a little bit of money on it today. Bitcoin, though, hit a record. Well, it was down $4,000 today, but it had hit a record the other day of 57,000.
I've been keeping my eye on for sure. You know, I'm a big supporter of the reopening story and the small caps in general. But it will be something to watch, especially if
hey, Aaron, what's up?
In the move higher in some of these yields continues at the pace that we've seen. I mean, in the month of February, the 10 years up about 25 basis points or more. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm going to turn that.
Of course, the main reason yields is rising is hopes for a bounce back in growth. And Bank of America boosted its 2021 US GDP growth target.
CBS is pulling back, like I said. CBS
also boosted its
had a low of 69.37.
Global research head of US economics, Michelle Lyon.
We've been
sorry about that. Got a call in the middle of doing a live here today. I was thinking maybe it was a car warranty.
The virus front have all made us even more convinced of this robust growth this year. So 6.5%.
Texas Roadhouse the other day was down. and then bounce right back up. Recommended that. That one's doing good. Let's touch real quick on those stocks that I recommended. CBS, we got out of it, which I recommended at 73. Got out at 72.79. eBay, 61.12. It's still up. Texas Roadhouse got in at 85, almost 91. It was at 92 today. Dollar General, 195.72. It's 190. It was even higher, 201. XEC. Cinerex Energy has probably been the one that's doing the best. That was up almost up to $54 today. 51.76 is where it closed at.
On the first week of January, we
saw consumer spend out of it. PCAR recommended at 90. That's slightly down.
Pouring in an economy that's already been underway in its
got into position solo today.
I think it continues.
Someone that I'm following on Twitter is into it pretty heavy. So it's a pretty cheap stock. It's involved. It's in Canada.
The actual outlays are something less than that, and some of those additional outlays get spilled into 2022. And then on top of that, there's the next round of economic stimulus, this kind of 2.0 plan around infrastructure, education reform.
I want to check what Zoom was down $22 today. Wonder what GameStop did today.
This is not it. There's more coming, and the economy is not going to be left facing a big.
GameStop was actually up $5.
I think the pace with which we've reached 1.3.
We are definitely have some stocks correcting. Facebook.
Couple of weeks, but if growth
let's go back.
Surprises to the upside at a sort of
year to date,
similar
Facebook
rate,
had touched
can continue to power
285, now down to 260.
At one point, 3.5,
Google.
1.35 and 1.4.
Hey, Adam, how are you, sir?
Really the challenge. It's about what happens to
Google.
the bond market.
Google's been holding pretty steady. I mean, it was down $36 today, which is 1.73%, but
of the equity market. And the other thing is, if you have a really dramatic further rise in Treasury yields, and it really accelerates this rotational action, you see the effect on the market cap weighted indexes of this.
Unless they're talking about rates, that's causing some of this.
The big mega cap.
Oh yeah, you just hang on.
Because they do really punch above their weight.
Oil's up again today, 4%.
What sort of stimulus numbers do you
look at Tesla.
For those growth?
Tesla's down like 9% today.
How long that's going to last?
Yeah, so we're assuming something in order of 1.7 trillion seems reasonable, but we'll learn a lot more in the next few weeks as negotiations continue. And then for monetary policy, I think the Fed.
They're talking about the stimulus program.
Because as you were just talking about with Mike and the others, interest rates are on the rise. And the market is starting to question whether or not the Fed will be able to tolerate this level of
CCIV. That was up $5. I like to see certain stocks that are up on a weekday. Viacom, man, has been a monster the last 6 weeks.
And putting some pressure on the recovery and on the healing labor market. So I think the conversation around the Fed is going to get super interesting with our outlook. Our expectation is that the first.
All right, let's see what company we're supposed to be. See what companies we're supposed to be have earnings after the bell. I'm going to go pull up Earnings Whisper. Earnings Whisper. After the close today was these different companies here. Williams Company, Marathon Oil. Where you can find this is earningwhispers.com, or you can go on Twitter and find this. Wonder what yeah, that's the internet security provider, PANW. Let's see what they have done. Are they moving in after hours? PANW was down. Oh, it's down after hours, $20. So what was the news on that one? And they raised the price target to $5.15 a share today. Overweight. It looks after hours it is down. It was down 3% today to 384. And after hours, it's down another 3% So I wonder if they missed on earnings or they guided down. Not seeing nothing yet. But I mean, here it was raised to 515 from 423. But you know, hey, stocks go up, stocks go down. This doesn't reflect after hours. Let's see who else was supposed to report that you guys. Was Cinrex supposed to report tonight? That's actually a holding. XEC. Let's see if they. They're up a quarter after hours. Do they have any news? Notable earnings after Monday's close. Yeah, they haven't released earnings yet, but they're supposed to be coming out with earnings. So one of the energy stocks based out of Colorado that I follow is going to have earnings after the bell. This is just a snapshot. This clearly isn't all the companies. This is a snapshot for the week of the different companies that are coming out after the close today, like tomorrow and Tuesday before we open. Home Depot's, Macy's, Crocs. After the close, Square, Intuit makes the TurboTax. Square is a spin-off. Well, you know who they are. They process the payments like PayPal. Toll Brothers. I was in and out Toll Brothers today for a small profit on an option. Toll Brothers is going to have a good report, but sometimes stocks will run into earnings and then drop afterwards. On Wednesday, Lowe's is supposed to come out. Let me see if we have any news release on any earnings. No, nothing yet. Lowe's, Overstock.com, TJ Maxx, Six Flags obviously being closed. VIAC, again, they're supposed to come out. NVDA, Moderna, they're actually the vaccine provider to the COVID. Domino's, Best Buy, Wayfair, Norwegian Cruise, Camping World, Airbnb that night. Nikola, I don't know how Nikola is going to do because they don't even have any sales. Beyond Meat, Beyond Meat has been a good stock. Salesforce, Rocket, DraftKings before Friday, Foot Locker, AMC Network. So there's a lot of big companies this week, notable companies that are going to be coming out with earnings. Appreciate all you guys being here.
As you know, Starboard's invested in undervalued companies for almost
There's a merger
years now. And what we've learned as a common theme for everything is that leadership matters. Leadership is incredibly important. So when looking for a target for SVAC, we're looking for a great business.
Palo Alto Networks, the security firm, is down $30. So I wonder if they missed earnings. I noticed Carnival Cruise Line was up today.
I think we have Manny. Speaking of said leadership, online, Manny, talk us through the history of Cyxtera. You've had a number of companies, sold one to Verizon, announced another.
Apple's down $4 today.
And started this company several years ago. Why is it time to go public now?
Hi, Sarah. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today.
So I do think we've been in a temporary correction or a rotation on certain stocks. Nothing to worry about if you invest, a small amount in every month.
Of very high quality assets that we acquired from CenturyLink, a very large carrier, about 3 years
Couple
ago.
positions I got in today. Had I waited to this afternoon, I would have made more money. Problem is, if you're not going to sit here and watch it all the time, especially on options, you can lose money fast. So.
To create a new sales force, to create a brand, and to create and develop a significant number of connectivity products that we now have in the market and get everything set. That all finished towards the end of 2019. 2020 was a stellar year for us, where we grew significantly our sales, our churn was significantly down, so it was really time now for us to go public, and that's why we're so excited about this next stage.
So many.
Carnival Cruise Line now was up higher. they just announced a public offering to sell stock, probably because they don't have the money coming in like they definitely don't have the money coming in. So they're going to issue some stock probably to secure up their finances. So let me pull up Carnival Cruise. Yeah, Carnival Cruise today was up $1.38 at $25.97. So that was 5.5%. They're down $1.03 after hours. So they're only up like 35 cents for the day. And again, that's because they're going to issue more stock, which when they do that dilutes the current stockholders.
Providers that are selling their digital wares. So
Peloton, look at that, down 13.51.
You can buy and sell your wares from one another. At the same time, you're able to access your IT infrastructure wherever it is, whether it's in a public cloud, whether it's in a private cloud, or whether it's in the facility. So these retail colocations, think about a marketplace of digital wares where you have customers buying from sellers and buyers.
Let's see. We're gonna go over to Bloomberg, Bloomberg.com, and see what they are talking about for the market.
I think that we'll start to see a little bit more public dissent here that could muddle the message going forward.
You know, that's an excellent question, and I think early on probably not. I think that you know, Powell, maybe towards the end of the year he does, because there may be a little bit of jockeying around because when he's up for reappointment or change whatever his term ends at the beginning of next year. So maybe you start seeing a little bit of that. But
they're talking about rates and what they think is going to happen over the next 2 years.
Political animal, at least not overtly that way, not historically. So can you start to see a little bit of it? Yeah, it's possible. But I think they're going to hold to their view that they're not going to worry about inflation until or unless we get to a full employment objective. And that's fine. But they're based.
Let's see what they're talking about on Fox Business News here. I have a Sling that I subscribe to.
Administration will handle antitrust cases against big tech companies because Democrats and Republicans in the Senate today really want companies held accountable and the DOJ to be the one to enforce these laws. Larry?
Got it. Thanks very much, Hillary Vaughn. Joining us now, a man who fought successfully.
That's Larry Kudlow. He was working for CNBC, and then he worked in the Trump administration. So it appears now he's working for Fox Business.
Very important. During the Trump administration, my great pal, former FCC chairman, Ajit Pai. Ajit, great to see you.
We're just going to see what they're talking about a minute or two here.
This business censorship, Section 230, which would reduce the liability shield, and antitrust cases from DOJ and presumably
gold up to $1,800, $1,807.
It's very interesting. Over the last several years, what we've seen is policymakers and regulators.
Yeah, they're talking about some of the different policies. So let's go over to back over to CNBC, see what they're talking about. Do appreciate everyone stopping by to join me this afternoon. Just wanted to kind of touch base on that. We're correcting.
Enormously successful, but if you invested in anything that was related to the internet, you knew you did well. This is kind of the same thing. There's lots and lots of disruption that's happening all across technology and in healthcare. So people are very interested in investing in these late stage venture businesses, and some of them are going to be enormously successful. Maybe
Nikola Corporation, 2095. I could see eventually down the road that stock goes to out of business.
There was a lot of discussion about why are all these companies staying private? They don't want to be public companies anymore. They have tremendous access to capital in the late stage private markets. I think what you're seeing now is the evolution.
All right, guys. I just wanted to touch briefly here. We are in a temporary correction on some stocks, rotating in others. ROKU's finally pulling back. I still have a short position in that. Viacom, though, man, I had that, sold it too early in 46, hit basically 68 today. NVDA is down. A lot of tech stocks are down this week. We'll see if it continues or we get a little bit of a bounce tomorrow. But I do appreciate you guys watching. If you could give me thumbs up. I try to do videos every day on Money Me, and I do appreciate everyone's support, and I'll catch you again.